The Royal Festival Hall's Meltdown Festival is one of the big dates in the capital's summer art scene. In the past, curators have included Nick Cave, John Peel and Elvis Costello, with the emphasis firmly on the selection of musical acts. This year, though, they've asked David Bowie to run the festival, and he fancies himself as a bit of an arts world mover and a shaker. He's friends with Damien Hirst and Tracy Emin, and he's a daytime or perhaps part-time painter himself as well. And so we went along to look at the young artists that Bowie selected for this year's festival.
When David Bowie first started thinking about the Meltdown Festival and his role, it was important for him to include an arts element. David came up with the remit and the title Sound and Vision, which I was to work within. I chose each artist for their work within that notion, and each artist sort of questions notions of articulation but doesn't rely on the purely visual. So many take sound as their source or use contemporary culture as their language. Many of the works are new works and were created with the idea that they would be shown within the Royal Festival Hall and within Meltdown.
Audio work's often quite awkward because it can be noisy in an exhibition, and if someone's got a sculpture or painting there, their idea of the sound around it should be totally silent. So Meltdown was a way of me being able to let an audio piece kind of breathe properly. The work is two turntables that are playing against each other, and hopefully it works on a number of levels. One, you get quite an instant aesthetic, visual kind of experience from it, the two records, and the sound clash that sometimes is quite an uncomfortable earache, and sometimes it's quite sublime, it's kind of accidental. And then hopefully, if you want to spend more time with the work, you'd maybe start to think about issues of contemporary warfare. These war themes are actually got as much use on TV adverts as they have from the films they once came from. So Bridge Over the River, Kwai, which is where Colonel Bowie comes from, is quite a symbol of the West, and the other record is Lawrence of Arabia, and that's kind of the West idea of the East. So we've got kind of West versus East. It's hopefully working on some different levels.
Gaia Alessi and Richard Bradbury have produced a work appropriately entitled Discos.
The content is the database of all the man-made junk that currently circles the Earth. As you sit within the space, the database and the text circles around the individual as the junk would circle around the Earth.
This is the leftover of all this dream that all the space agencies are really very preoccupied, because if they don't stop it in about 15 years, they won't be able to launch anything anymore without the risk of it actually exploding because of impact with any of these things that are orbiting.
And in one sense, the work is more about, the work deals more directly with the database itself, the kind of bureaucratic database that is generated. Like all kind of bureaucracy generates an enormous amount of paperwork.
I think the Royal Festival Hall is a great space because it's opened and frequented by people that have some connection to art, no connection to art, and is the opportunity to actually speak and approach an audience which is not an audience of specialists.
David Bowie's always been known as a patron of the arts and a supporter and champion of young emerging artists, and BowieArt.com, his art website, is testament to that. With that in mind, the exhibition Sound and Vision has always been considered from the beginning an integral part of the Meltdown Festival. It's an incredible experience for each of the artists, who are all young artists currently doing their MA or about to graduate from their MA courses, and to be in such a public space and within such an incredible festival is really quite important to them.
The reputation of the Royal Festival Hall is of a kind of arts-based venue, but it's very much in the kind of mainstream consciousness. So I think you get a lot of through-flow people who have got an interest in the arts, but also general kind of members of the public. So for something like this, I'm hitting a really kind of wide spread of people, which is great. It's an exciting place to have your work.